Hello and welcome to the Liverpool Way podcast following one of the most unlikely, satisfying and most famous wins of the Jurgen Klopp era. The Reds were 1-0 down and one man down after half an hour at Newcastle, but somehow walked away with all 3 points thanks to a stunning late double from substitute Darwin Nunez, sparking some incredible scenes on the bench and among the travelling Reds. I'm Chris Smith, and to talk this one through, I've got Paul Natton, John Gallagher and an ecstatic TLW editor, Dave Usher. Dave, come on, let's be real. This is your moment just as much as it is Darwin's. So the floor is yours.
Well, I'm not the kind of guy to say I told you so.
Yeah, right.
I'm not. No.
Yeah, right.
Very good. No, I'm not. Genuinely, I'm not. If I was the type of guy to say I told you so, then I would be saying right now, I fucking told you so. Because I did, repeatedly. And I've been mocked for it. And I said, he's going to come good. He's a peacock. You've got to let him fly. Eventually, we let him fly, and look what happens. Look what happens. I mean, he's on the field for 15 minutes. The game was just basically like petering out. We were doing well to keep it at 1-0, but we were not really threatening. All of a sudden, he comes on, running in behind, causing havoc, 2 brilliant finishes, and just what a win that is. I mean, I've gone from like being absolutely fucking fuming about things that had gone on in that game to being like, fuck all that, it doesn't even matter now. Not asked about all that, like me boys just won it for us. So yeah, I'm absolutely over the moon, and I'm not going to name names, I'm not going to call anyone out. They all know who they are, and yeah, humble pie.
Do you think there'll be much humble pie being eaten though? I don't know.
From Jules, you mean?
Yeah.
No, Jules would be sound.
No,
Jules
no,
would give credit where it's due.
I'm not singling Jules out because a lot of it is just trying to wind me up. I don't think he means half the shit that he comes out with, to be fair. So
I've been pretty bad at it lately as well. So
I feel like
more
you're
than happy
just trying to wind me up. I don't feel like you mean the stuff that you're saying.
I've been a fence sitter, to be fair, and Dave, you can't clash me amongst the chippy knobheads that you go on about all the time.
No, there's only one chippy knobhead, to be fair. We all know who he is.
One chippy knobhead.
Yeah, outside the chippy next week's going to be fun before Villa.
Nice. So, Paul, regarding Nunez, Klopp said after the game that each big story needs key moments. Do you think this could be the case with him?
Oh, Chris, I mean, honest to God, right, that's the maddest game I can remember in a long time. Seriously. I mean, like, I know this sounds melodramatic and over the top, but after he got that equaliser, I mean, I never scream at the telly. You know what I mean? Those days are long gone. Go nuts at the match when actually at the game at Anfield, but what I'm watching on the telly, I'm normally not arsed either. Well, I'm arsed, but I don't like celebrate audibly or viscerally. I went absolutely nuts, and then I had this moment where I went a little bit dizzy, and I thought, "Fuck it, I'm having a heart attack."
Oh no!
I love the Reds, but they're not worth dying for. That was such a mad game. It just so strange, and I think that's probably our best win, apart from Barcelona. If you leave the Barcelona semi out, I said that on the group chat straight after the game, and in fact, I think Klopp mentioned it and mentioned the same in his interview afterwards. I think he made the same comparison, but that was just incredible. And to answer your question, mate, if we're not starting Darwin now, I just don't get it. Like, I don't get it. You know, Dave talks about he's a peacock, you got to let him fly, and he's absolutely right. Those were incredible finishes. That fucking hell, that first goal was unbelievable. And you know the thing that's really done it for me is he had that first sniff, didn't he? I mean, that first sniff was almost identically in the same position. The first one where he fluffed the touch, and then the equaliser, and then the winner were almost. They must have been within like sort of like a 2-yard radius of 2-yard radius circle of the same place on the pitch. And with his terrible first touch for the first one, I thought, oh dear. And then he just completely, it didn't bother him in the slightest. And that first goal, the equaliser, was absolutely incredible. What a sensational finish. And the winner wasn't bad either. If we are not, I mean, I said it to, I can't remember if I said it on the last pod or I just said it in the group chat. But if we're not building this system around Darwin, what's the point? You know, you can't have your record transfer signing, and you're not and you're not creating something brand new and trying to make him absolutely integral to the whole thing. And the other thing as well is like, take tactics, take know-how, take clever thinking about the game. Yeah, there's a place, an important place for all of it. But the bottom line is, sometimes it's about momentum, and sometimes it's about the man on the spot, and sometimes it's just about a run of form. And you cannot go out, you cannot go into another game off the back of that, where he's come on, where we were in the direst of circumstances, and he scores 2 goals like that, and you're not starting him next time. I just, if he does not start next week, I don't know where we're going. My mind is absolutely blown. Like Dave,
it'd send a terrible message if we didn't start him next week.
Terrible, Chris. Terrible. Like Dave, I was absolutely fucking fuming in that first half. Like I don't get, like, I don't have like sustained anger about anything in life, really. I have like a momentary flare when I get angry. It might last 20 seconds and then it's gone. You just kind of like move on to the next thing. I couldn't let my anger go. There was so many things in the mix about Klopp, about the recruitment, about the setup, about the system, about Trent, about Virgil, about the referee. Honestly, I thought my head was going to pop. And then, you know, we come out of it like this. It's got to mean something. It's absolutely got to mean something. So, I mean, yeah, Johnny on the spot, I suppose, is the phrase. But, you know, absolutely fantastic. What a moment for him, and we've got to build on it.
Yeah, I had a similar moment with celebrating the winner as it went in, because I every once a month on a Sunday I teach a yoga class at a brewery, and the game kicked off just as the class finished. So I've got one eye on it for the whole period, and I'm caught up since I got in. But I just sort of spent like an hour chilling people out and concentrate on their breathing and slowing down, and and then I'm having a pint at the bar with everybody afterwards. I'm still kind of trying to keep that like chill yoga teacher vibe going on, and then Darwin busts the net with that second, and I'm up on the chair just giving it the absolute beans.
Right. Absolutely right. Nice
my wife was there, Meg. She's there. She was there at the class as well, and she turns to the girl who sat next to her, and she goes like, "That's actually quite mild for him." So it's good. But John, we've spoken about the magnitude of the win. I think Jurgen said a couple of times in his interviews after the game that this is something that he's going to tell his grandson about as soon as his grandson's old enough to understand what football is. So it's clear to him. I think he intimated, I'm not sure if this is true, I can't verify it or not, whether we've come from 1-0 down away from home with 10 men to win 2-1 before, but he seemed to think that we haven't. But where does this rank for you in terms of like top results in the last few years?
Well, considering the success we've had over recent years, and we've had a lot of knife edge games, if you like, it's absolutely right up there. I was saying to the lads in the chat in the first half, it feels like something might be coming to the end here with, under the Klopp reign, if you like. Everything, there was like a disconnect with certain areas of the club, transfer policy, etc., etc. And then within an hour, I've just totally turned on my head and I'm saying we're going to win the league. It's like, that's just the beauty and emotion of football, though, isn't it?
Absolutely.
That's what it's all about, isn't it? But you'd be hard pressed to ever find like a win like that under the circumstances, everything that we had to endure. But fair play to the players for sticking in there. And I don't want to give Klopp any credit for today, really, apart from bringing Darwin on, because it wasn't one of Klopp's better games, shall we say, in terms of in-game management, in my opinion. But we got the result at the end of the day, and when Darwin come on, and as Paul touched on, he fluffed that first touch. I thought it's like the Chelsea game. He did the same against Chelsea a couple of Sundays ago. And then he had a great shot against Chelsea. It just went over the bar or wide of the post in the last minute, I remember. That's just what he is, isn't it? He's always involved. He never lets things go to his head if he misses a chance. And you've got to admire that about him.
Yeah.
Strength. That's a mental strength. That's South American mental strength, isn't it? Kind of thing that players have got, that those players generally have. So absolutely buzzing. 2 phenomenal finishes, as I say, especially after that first touch. and you're like, oh no, not again. It's going to be one of those, games where it just doesn't happen for him, and then, he's just blew the game wide open, and absolutely fantastic. And, the way of looking at it from the positive aspect now, I mean, we've got 2 of our toughest away games out the way with 4 points, and we're unbeaten. So, as I say, everything's knife edge, isn't it? We could have been sat in the end of a 2 or 3-0 defeat after 30, 40 minutes or whatever it was. But, yeah, absolutely amazing game. And, hopefully, as Paul said, it's got to mean something now, and we can move forwards with it.
Hey, John, do you know what those finishes reminded me of? Do you know what it was like watching?
Go on.
Suarez.
Really?
Suarez finishes
just the coldness of them kind
just
of thing,
smashed it right into the far corner. Just pure Suarez
like an
finishes.
Arrow. Got that like kind of arrow finish with the power, and it's so precise. Yeah, I'm totally with you, Dave. Yeah.
Just need to see that more often. But on that note, let's not forget Suarez's first season, he missed a fucking shitload of chances, and we were all saying, oh, isn't he great, if only he could finish. And then that came, and he was unstoppable. And the thing with Darwin is his track record was always like slow first season and then exploded.
Yeah, and did you see the data on him the other day in terms of the chances in the whole of Europe last season? He was number 3 in the whole of Europe.
Is this
and there was only Mbappe and Messi ahead of him, I think.
Is this from because I was going to bring this up later, the Redmen TV video? Is it from that?
Might be, yeah.
Yeah, because they did a piece on that, and
yeah, I think it was, yeah.
It was really good, but it was kind of just the stuff that we've been saying on here. Well, stuff that some of us have been saying on here, but with data to back it up. Basically, it was I'd advise anyone to go and watch it. It was
it's really good.
The lad he was on was I think he's distance covered on Twitter. I think, he spoke a lot of sense, loads of good points. It's basically a 20-minute video which is saying he's a peacock, you've got to let him fly. And, but just the things that we've been saying as well. But the interesting thing that was in that, and I think it's worth talking about because it's something that you touched on there, Paul. And Klopp, after the game, when he was asked about Darwin, he didn't say it exactly, but what he was saying just kind of backs it up again. He keeps talking about we've got to build a team, we've got to get stability and all that. And the lad on that video was saying it's basically a case of he's got to get the rest of the team right before he can throw Darwin into it, because if you throw him into it now when everything else isn't right behind him, the stability of the team, and because we all know what Darwin can do and what Darwin can't do, and too much emphasis is on what he can't do, and it's to do with the pressing and the coming short and playing the false nine, all of that stuff. And this lad was basically saying, we need someone who's going to do all of that stuff at the moment because the rest of the team is not functioning the way we need it to. But when that comes, that's when you throw Darwin in there, and he's like the finishing piece to the puzzle. You let him just do his thing, but until everything else is right behind him, that's why they're not putting him in. And Klopp did more or less say that after the game in a couple of different interviews I've seen him do. And I get that, I understand that, I do. And there's certain games where I think, okay, yeah, that's fair enough. But I also think too much is being made of the stuff that he can't do, and not enough is made of what he can. Honestly, that there today, what he's done there. Now, I don't really want to get into a Gakpo versus Nunez thing because it's apples and oranges. They're totally different players. But Cody Gakpo's not doing that. If Cody Gakpo's up front, he's not scoring them goals. He's not doing that. He's got a different skill set.
Dave. I don't think
Jota's not doing it either.
Mo isn't.
Mo has done it.
No, he's not scoring them.
He's not doing it as consistently as he did, but we have seen Mo just win games where, he gets a couple of chances running through on goal and he scores. So
I was thinking more about the type of finish. I was talking about the type of finish rather than the ability to take chances.
Yeah, Mo and his little floaty curlers straight at the goalkeeper's really starting to fucking bore me now. But no, I wouldn't say Mo can't do that because Mo has done that. But the situation that we were in, I mean, I thought Darwin should have been on a lot sooner, but I'm not going to quibble about that because I also think the game plan there, we'll talk about the first half, we'll get to that because there's so much that needs to be spoken about. But I don't really want to dwell on the negative at this point. I want to focus on the positive because we're all still buzzing about what's happened. The second half We did exactly what you need to do in that situation. That was the perfect 10-men performance in that situation against a good team away from home. We played it perfectly, which is the main thing is you cannot concede another goal. So you've got to keep it tight, keep it at 1-0, and just they'll get edgy the longer it goes, because we've been in that situation where like you're up against 10 men and you don't kill them off, and you get to like 10 minutes to go and you're like, oh fucking hell, because then they'll open up and have a go. So we actually played that perfectly, in the sense that we kept it to 1-0, and it's not like we gave up loads of chances. They had a couple of moments, Almiron hit the post, but it wasn't like Alisson made like loads of stunning saves, was it? It was fairly. I think
apart from that one worldie, that
was in the first half, though. I'm talking about,
that was incredible.
Yeah, but I'm talking about the second half. It's not like we were massively under the cosh or anything.
Well, to be honest, I felt we kept the ball really well. Of the substitutions, I thought Harvey was absolutely brilliant. I thought Szoboszlai, when he kind of like sat a little bit deeper, was absolutely brilliant. I just thought we really. There was a moment where it was like a bit surreal, because I thought, like, we're down to 10 men. I think this was still at 1-0. I think they were still ahead at that stage. And we had like a little 5-minute period where we were actually like dominating the ball.
Yeah, it was about the hour mark, wasn't it, Paul? Yeah.
Say again, John, sorry.
I thought it was around the hour mark, and I remember saying we're having a decent little spell here. We weren't creating anything, but, we just like to silence the crowd, the way they are up there kind of thing. But, yeah, we started getting on the ball. The chances for Newcastle stopped coming, as the second half went on, really, apart from Anthony Gordon, like with the odd dribble and run at Trent and that. So it was really, the second half, as Dave touched on, it was a perfect performance against 11v10 kind of thing. So,
but then you get to 15 minutes to go, and then that's when you go, right, now we're going for it. On you go, Darwin. And so that's why I'm not going to quibble about it, whether he should have been on earlier, because I think we had to stay in the game. There was no point us chasing the game too early, because even if we'd have got a goal with half an hour to go, we may well have conceded again. The main thing is keep it at 1-0, and if you get chances to counter attack, maybe you'll get something, but you don't actually go flying at them until the closing stages of the game, which is what we did. We got to 15 minutes to go, on comes Darwin, and then all of a sudden we're getting chances because he's running in behind. People, you mentioned about the chance that he had when he just had the bad touch. It's a bad touch in I suppose it's a bad touch because it's not perfect, but that's not easy. If he'd have taken that in his stride and leathered it in,
true.
We'd have all been
quite
saying,
high in the air, wasn't it?
Yeah, we'd have all been saying, "Oh my God, what a touch that was! That was incredible."
That's fair, yeah.
It wasn't incredible. It wasn't an incredible touch, but it wasn't that bad either. He controlled the ball, but he just didn't get it out in front of him. So and he'd only just come on at that point as well. So it's asking a lot for him to have been able to knock that ball into his own stride and then smashed it in. So I don't think that was a great chance. But what it did show was the threat of him running in behind, and that was what we needed at that stage of the game. So a lot of criticism for Klopp for things in the first half. Second half, I think he's handled it pretty much exactly as you needed to in that situation. And that's easy to say because we've won the game, to be fair. If we hadn't won the game, all the focus would have been on the first half and decisions that were made then. But, it's all turned out in the end. And I do think the second half was perfect for that situation. We did exactly what you've got to do in that situation to win the game. And that's why it means so much. And also because of who it was against, fucking dickheads, right. Newcastle, fucking wanker fans, that knobhead assistant manager, which I'm sure everyone's seen the photos now of him shushing Klopp, and then later on...
No, I've not. I've seen Klopp, but I've not seen the manager. That's just the manager fella.
Klopp was doing that in response to him. He was shushing Klopp in the first half. Yeah, there's a picture of him, Klopp's trying to talk to the fourth official, and he's in the background shushing him. And then obviously you see the other picture later on after we've gone 2-1 up, and Klopp's shushed them back. But there's no love lost there anyway, because Klopp had a little dig at him a couple of weeks ago in his press conference, which was quite funny, when he was asked about the new law about only one person's allowed in the technical area. And Klopp just said, well, there's only one team who's affected by that, isn't there? And then he paused and then he just went, Newcastle, as if people hadn't realised who he was on about. So clearly, they know he's a dickhead. But mate, he threw a bottle at our bench last year, remember?
Yeah.
So fuck him, the fucking absolute twat. Yeah.
Proper blade.
Yeah, fucking.
And Eddie Howe now he's lost his last 11 games against us, against Klopp. So
Perfect.
That's a league record, somebody said. Did Harry say in the group chat? Somebody said in the group chat it's a league record.
Yeah.
11 consecutive games.
Gosh.
In defeat.
I mean, not even
manager.
Moyes had a record like that against us.
Yeah.
Beheaded.
Or he didn't even have a
Beheaded
record
now.
that bad against Man United either. So he's even worse against them than he was against
Must
us.
have been close, though.
Yeah, yeah, must have been. So, should we talk a little bit about the first half then? John, it was we started okay. We showed a good bit of intent, I think, from what I saw in the first 5 minutes or so. We had a good chance for Diaz, a good save after a great run through, and then it was just a disastrous sort of 5 to 10 minute spell, really, with Trent sort of getting that early booking, and then perhaps you could argue lucky to stay on the field after having a little flail at Gordon, and then Gordon himself scores following that dreadful Trent error, and then Virgil gets himself sent off. So there's quite a lot to unpack there. Like, just tell us how you saw those major incidents.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how Trent didn't get the free kick in the first place. It was a shove, end of. I mean, whatever Trent did afterwards, throwing the ball and that, Gordon, clearly shoved him.
Yeah.
So, fucking Myra Hindley looking prick that he is, but anyway, that's... So, it just seemed to unravel from there, didn't it? Trent's head went clearly, and obviously it just unravelled into other things going wrong, for the rest of the half.
Do you think that bad decision saved him from the red, John? The ref knew he should have booked Gordon.
Definitely.
When he booked Trent, and
absolutely,
that's why he didn't go for the shove.
Yeah. I'm staggered that wasn't a free kick. He clearly shoves him. Trent goes,
it's unbelievable.
Sliding into the onto the touchline and that, and it's like, how the hell hasn't he give a free kick there? But it just seemed to unsettle everyone then, because as Chris touched on, we started relatively brightly. We were popping the ball around. Players were getting on the ball. It was looking okay. But yeah, Trent's head clearly went, and he was lucky, as I say, with the arm across Gordon's face. But we got away with it in that respect, I suppose. But the goal was just calamity, wasn't it? It was I don't know.
It's horrendous.
See, did Trent just lose concentration, or was it just down to his head going clearly? I just don't know.
His head had gone completely, because he was just
totally
passing the
gone.
ball straight to them. His passing went completely
Mo
off.
just laid it back. It was just like
He was all over the place.
standard pass, wasn't it? But
John,
do you know what? Do you know when you've read all those bits about Trent when he was in the academy, and Inglethorpe, and I think Steve Highway worked with him a little bit as well when Steve Highway came back. I may have got that slightly wrong, but they worked on his temperament. Do you remember, he was a proper narc? They talked about him being really, really narky, and his head would go. And they used to stand on the sideline and just shout abuse at him and call him out over stuff to try and get him used to dealing with situations where his head would go.
So
to me,
you're saying Klopp
it's
was just shouting, calling him a twat and stuff?
No, to me, it's I get a flashback to how he must have been then.
Should have kept your dreadlocks. That looks fucking stupid.
You can see it though, don't you think? You know, when he's under that real pressure like that, you can see how his head just goes west, completely west, and everything goes, everything about his game goes. The only thing I would say about Trent in those moments, and we have seen that over the last maybe season and a half, more times than any of us would want to or actually thought that we would from a player that talented, is that he has this capacity within a game to turn it completely on its head. He's so talented, and he's so able to kind of get a grip on things that he can flip it the other way. And even though I was screaming for him to get hooked, I mean, I think you and me, Dave, were having a competition in the group chat to see who wanted him hooked the most. But the one thing I did say as a little caveat to that was, you can't bet against him turning it round completely and doing something like not necessarily match winning, that's to those circumstances, because I think we all thought the game had run away from us, but certainly doing something massively significant, maybe a sensational pass to get us a draw or something like that. He does have that in his locker, but I certainly get glimpses. I think that we get glimpses of the little boy that he used to be, that they try to knock that out of him when his head goes. It's the red mist, isn't it? And everything about his game and his thought process and his composure just goes out of the window.
Yeah, so unfortunate that it's Gordon, the lad who gets the goal, because, well, for obvious reasons. I didn't know until today that we'd released him when he was a kid.
Yeah, I didn't know
he was
that
with
either.
us.
Yeah, same.
So I guess probably meant a little bit more to him and might explain why he's quite the knobhead that he is. But obviously it's not a good situation. 1-0 down, crowds on our back, and then the red card. Dave, what did you make of that? Can you? Oh. I think I'd probably want it if it was for us, but it did feel harsh because Virgil did take the ball. He just kind of went through Isak's legs to get to the ball, and I don't know. They were running level side by side, but he'd kind of turned him, so he probably was going to be in on goal. So I don't know. If I'm picking my battles, I'm not appealing that one.
No, I don't think it was a red card, but it's not a hill that I'm willing to die on. Like last week, McAllister one, that was like 100% not a red card. Disgusting decision, rightly overturned. This one, it's like you could send him off for it, or you could give him a yellow card. It's like it's just at the referee's discretion. I think it just looking at it and without going into like letter of the law and all of that stuff, just looking at the incident and saying, do you think that's a red card or not? I'd be like, no, that's really harsh if that's a red card.
Oh, I
but
disagree.
Then, well, no, but like you can then make the case, well, he's the last man and this, that, and I'm just talking purely like visually watching that. If you show me that and say, what do you think happens there? Do you think it's a red card or a yellow card? I would say that's going to be a yellow card more often.
I'd see me arse if that was us. If the boot was on the other foot.
Of course I would, because I'm fucking biased. But like that's not the point.
I'd fully see me arse. I think that was a clear goal scoring opportunity.
I don't even know if it's that much of a foul.
He was past him.
I don't even
He's
see
gone
like
through him. He's gone right through him, Dave.
He's barely touched him, and he's played the ball. So technically, you can argue it's a foul. I'm getting into an argument here, and I don't want to because I don't feel that strongly about it.
Yeah,
but like,
it doesn't really matter now, does it?
I think it's harsh, but it's one that you can definitely give, and it's not one I'd be appealing because there's no way you're going to win that appeal. The bigger issue, really. That's not a tackle that Virgil makes 2 years ago. So that's the concern. Like the fact that he's had a nibble there, he wouldn't normally do that. And
well, that's where my head was starting to go completely,
isn't it? Because he's just not what he was.
That's where I was. That's the point where my head was ready to absolutely pop. Because then that stage, I'm like, because I've been saying, well, back into last season, I was saying he needs pressure on his place. And and at this point, we still haven't signed a defender in this window, and that's where I'm thinking, for fuck's sake. This kind of lackadaisical shite that we've seen from him for the last 18 months. Yes, I fully accept he's had potentially certainly a career-altering injury, if not a career-ending injury. It could, certainly 10 years ago, would have been a career-ending injury, that one. It's definitely altered his career, and I'm hugely sympathetic to all of that. But bottom line is, we're Liverpool, we need to win. And he needs pressure on his place because I'm sick and tired of all that lackadaisical shit that we see from him. He's got to raise his game. He's the captain now as well. He's got to be better. He's got to be more focused. He's got to impose himself more physically. If the pace has gone a little bit, he's still got the strength. He's still got the brain. He's still got the touch. All of those things still emphatically work. But he needs something to focus him mentally. And if that means that we have to spend 50, 60, 70 million pounds on a sensational backup, then we should do that. And that's without getting into the arguments about, is Robbo suited to the new system, and do we need like a hybrid full-back centre-half who's left-footed to play there? I just think Virgil needs pressure on his place. He is too comfortable, and that was pissing me off so much after that red card, because to me that's all in the mix. He this whole I'm the man shite that we get from him. Yeah, you can be the man when you're absolutely sensational, but if you're not absolutely sensational, you're not the man. I'm sorry. You've got to be the man every fucking week, Paul, and you're not at the moment. So
Paul,
step
can I
it
ask
up.
you to just
go on, mate. Sorry.
Just let me clarify what you mean by that. I'm the man shit in relation to that tackle. Like, what was it about?
No, it's more general, Chris. It's more general. I'm bringing
a
load of things into the mix there. So I'm talking about. It's not specifically focused on that tackle. It's focused on.
But you thought it was.
I think if we go back, I think Virgil would. If you go back 3 years, Virgil there would have backed his strength. He'd have just shielded the ball. He'd have got there before him. He wouldn't have been so rash in terms of putting his foot in. He'd have just. Do you remember the way he used to ease? He just used to ease forwards off the ball. He'd have done that, and I still think he's got that in his locker. What I think is he's making the wrong choices.
Well, he was slow getting there, though. He reacted.
Yeah,
slow.
he was slow getting there, but it was only half a yard, and he. I'm not sure.
But at that point, he couldn't have done what like we've seen him do before. But what he should be doing is just jockeying him, not diving in.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to ease him off the ball. He just has
my
to.
issue is the rashness. Is the rashness of making the challenge. He didn't need to make the challenge.
Another thing as well, he's become he's more exposed now, isn't he? If you think about it 2-3 years ago when we were in our pomp and we had that midfield, the workhorse midfield, if you like. There'd be only maybe a couple of times a game when he'd have to do that, you could argue, but it's become a more commonplace now as well. So is that a factor to it where? Obviously last year we had the problems we had in midfield and players' legs going, etc. So maybe he was more exposed to these situations and it highlighted it more, if you like. And today, obviously, we've got a new look midfield the way we've got it now, 3 new players in there. And there is maybe little instances where, with them being more exposed, these rash decisions are looking like more. That's prevalent,
true,
if you like.
That is true, but at the same time, the Van Dijk of 3 years ago, you could expose him like that as many times as you wanted, and it wouldn't matter. He would have just dealt with it. So, getting this Van Dijk exposed to situations is causing problems, but those problems wouldn't have been there before because it just didn't happen. Nobody got the better of him ever.
Wasn't that down to the setup of the team and the
he still had to deal with situations, and he always dealt with them. I mean, he not had to deal with as many as he's having to deal with now, but he still dealt with them. Whether that's over 10 games or 2 games, he might have the same amount of situations now in 2 games rather than 10. But over the 10 games, he didn't. He just dealt with everything that he had to deal with.
And nobody got the better of him, did they? Really, it was very
Nobody,
rare.
no
you
one.
saw people get the better of him.
Yeah, people
and now
making
it happens once a week.
False claims of getting the better of him, like Arsenal fans, like creaming themselves over that Nicolas Pepe running down the line. Never actually went past Virgil. Virgil was like happy to let him just stay where he was. And they were like, oh, Virgil van Dijk's never been beaten. Well, he has now. I'm like, no. But the fact that you're even thinking that this is some big accomplishment shows you just how good Virgil is. But, it happens too often now, really. What did you make of his reaction afterwards? Because I thought he was going to get himself in trouble with the ref.
Well over the top.
The fourth official, did you see him saying, get your hands off me, don't touch me?
Indicative to me of the fact that in his head it's at the and the man bullshit. In his head, he's still a player that his body isn't. And listen, that's okay, that's understandable. But wake up. You've got to recognise now that you're 32 years old. You've had an horrific injury, and you've got to adapt your game. He could have at least 3 more years at the top, if not 5. He's that good, he's that clever, his touch is that good, he's so strong, but he's got to adapt his game, like all the greats do. All the greats at centre-half, they get that longevity because they use their experience to make up for what they lose physically.
Thiago Silva.
Yeah, exactly. And if he doesn't recognise that he's not who he was 2 or 3 years ago, the fella pre-injury, and he's got to concentrate and focus and become a different player, then that won't happen. And that to me is, in some sense, the way he reacted afterwards made me even more angry. That to me was completely indicative of what the issue is, that he's not being honest with himself. There's a little bit of delusion there. And, maybe that's what goes along with being a world-class talent when your body starts to let you down. But, if he's the man I think he is, and he's not thick, you can see in terms of football, in terms of his footballing ability, the way he reads the game, he's got a brain on him. He'll start to look inwards and start to be a little bit honest with himself. But maybe he needs somebody around him to have that conversation, and maybe Klopp needs to have that conversation with him. But I see no reason why, if he doesn't embrace the idea that his body is changing, that he can't continue to be great. But I think he's the sort of guy who, and it's maybe it's a bit of a cliche, but he's got that Dutch ego on him. The Dutch players, traditionally have this huge sense of self. They all fall out with each other about who's better than who and all the rest of it. And I think, I think what he really needs is he needs pressure on his place. And I think that I felt it. I said it going on a year ago, and I feel it even more strongly now. He needs pressure on his place. That's not to say I want him out the team. I just think he needs to feel somebody breathing right down the back of his neck.
Just I want a quick point here. I think we have to say Joe Gomez was really fucking good when he came on.
Yeah.
Yes,
I thought he did a great job.
Yeah.
And presumably he'll start the game that Virgil suspended for like next week. It's a chance for him. It's a chance for Gomez to stake a claim, because we know what he's capable of. We've seen him do it in the past, but you know his problem's always been stupid mistakes, just switching off, you know, not concentrating. But like, I thought he was great today.
Dave, I thought Kwanzaa was as well. That blew me mind when he came on.
He did
I
well,
thought
yeah.
He played really well.
He
but
did.
what we mustn't have is any bullshit about
No.
we don't need another centre half
No.
now. We do. We need a left-footed player now to come in.
Don't
this
be talking about Kwanzaa as like a viable option. Play him in the Europa League. I'm more than happy. Let him like get a bit of experience in those games and domestic cups. Do not be telling me like that he's a viable option and we don't need to sign a defender, because that's just blatantly not true.
Dave,
I know Darwin will
what do you
get
make of him?
the
Sorry, John, go ahead.
Sorry, Chris. Darwin will obviously get the credit, but Paul touched on it earlier about Harvey. He just added that little bit of composure.
He did.
When he come on, a bit of quality, you know, a bit of know-how for such a young player. Still, what is he, 21, is he?
20.
No, he's
20.
not bad, is he?
Yeah, he's 20. Yeah.
So, but yeah, he just started to get us on the ball a bit more, didn't he? And you know, little things started happening when Harvey came on as well. You know, as well as Darwin, obviously with the 2 goals. But really impressed with his just with his intelligence and his maturity. Absolutely outstanding. I thought when he came on.
Yeah.
Absolutely brilliant.
Agree.
You can subscribe to the Liverpool Way podcast on all the major platforms, whether it's Apple, Google, Spotify, Amazon or Podbean. Just search for the Liverpool Way, leave us a review and hit subscribe to automatically receive all new episodes. You can also head to liverpoolway.co.uk and grab a TLW season ticket for just £3 a month. There's tons of exclusive content, including match reports from every Liverpool game, weekly Premier League roundups, the TLW diary, and access to the members-only forum. Lastly, you can follow us on social media at The Liverpool Way on Twitter and at The Liverpool Way TLW on Instagram and Facebook. Dave, before we move on, can we just come back to Kwanzaa a little bit then? Because this will be the first time a lot of people had seen him play today, and you know, maybe even heard of the kid. So tell us a bit about what you know about him.
I don't know loads. I've seen him like in the under-18s a fair few times, and he looked. See, we've had these centre halves who like have been built up. Like I never got the whole hype about that Billy Cometio. I just didn't see it. I felt like he just had like too many mistakes in him. Reece Williams was a really good youth player, but just lacking a little bit of pace. And Kwanzaa looked really good in the under-18s, and then he didn't, like last year he went out on loan to Bristol Rovers, so obviously I didn't see anything of him there, but he got rave reviews. I think it was Bristol Rovers. Joey Barton was his manager there, and he kept going on about like what a good player he was and that. So he's one of the few that had like a loan spell that actually did him a lot of good. You know, he played, he grew as a player and that, and he come back and he did really well in pre-season. Now, how much stock you want to put in pre-season performances, I mean, that's we've been burned before with players who've looked good in pre-season, but he came in and he didn't look out of place. He's got all the physical tools, like he looks like he's 6'4" or something like that. He's a big lad, but he's quick as well, and he's a good footballer. But the problem is he's 20, and centre backs, you know, you just don't get that many centre backs of that age playing regularly. So he's got to learn. He's got a couple of years. Who knows where he'll be? And I'm more than down with him playing in Europa League games and having like the occasional appearance here and there. And he looks like he might have a chance. You know, there's definitely a lot of potential there. Yeah. But we can't be relying on him this season. You know, we've got to be buying a really good defender in this window.
Left-footed?
Left-footed. Ideally, yeah. Or somebody who's at least comfortable playing on that side. I'd prefer left-footed, yeah. But we've got to get somebody else in, because we're short on numbers. We can't really rely on Matip. We've seen like the fitness problems that he's had. That's not going to get better as he gets older. Kanate's another one like who's susceptible to muscle injuries. I mean, this isn't particularly bad, but like Klopp said, like he's got a slight muscle thing, and it was because he had to play. We had to play with 10 men last week. He went that extra 20 minutes we had when we're down to 10 men. That's the reason why Kanate can't play. I'm like, that's a bit of a red flag. You know, he's a centre back. It's not like he's having to do like loads of running like the midfield players. So there are question marks over the fitness of Matip, definitely. Gomez has had injury problems. The only thing with Gomez is I do feel like his injuries are just bad luck. It's like he gets an injury and it's one injury that keeps him out for a while. It's not like he's constantly getting little injuries. So I do feel bad for... Yeah, I do feel bad for Gomez because like his injury will be like he's blown a knee out or he's broken ankle or something like that. You can't legislate for that. Matip's constantly like muscle injuries that keep him out. He had to come off today because Klopp said he looked knackered. So again, that's not great. Like, but again, he's knackered because that position in the team, you're having to do 2 fucking jobs. So that's why, like, it's putting too much strain on Canate and Matip.
You say that, and that just sends me back into this fucking rage I was getting today about the composition of the squad in this transfer window. You know, we're moving towards this new system. We've got our players who can play it. Yeah. It's just fucking ridiculous that we're not moving on players who can't. Yeah, we're very, very grateful for what Joel's done for us, and we love him, and he's going to be a hero forever for Liverpool fans. But if your time's done, your time's done. We need players who can come in and play. And yes, I absolutely love Canate. I think he's brilliant. But if your body isn't robust enough to be playing every week, we need someone at the very least who's breathing down your neck. Yeah. Those are the levels now. Those are the levels in the Premier League. And that should be the levels for us. And it just feels like we're full of excuses at the moment. And the money's there, and we need to be getting some of these players signed.
Yeah. I think it's annoying as well because we wasted the whole summer on that wild goose chase that was signing the lad from Chelsea, which was never going to happen in a month of Sundays. Yeah. Like, we were never getting him. I'm not sure what they were thinking that was even a possibility. Might he have used... It's probably like Ibiza George just getting strung along by an agent again. Yeah. Like, his agent using us to get a better deal with Chelsea or whatever. And it's just like, we just wasted so much time. And it's frustrating now because the window closes in 4 days and we're not being linked to anybody, are we? Really? Like, no. There are no real serious links to suggest that we are going to sign another defender. No. Yeah. And if we do, it's probably going to be a Kabak-like situation where we just get some jabron on loan again.
Only good thing he had was a song, I remember. That was it.
Oh, yeah.
You buzzed off that song, didn't you?
The Tetris one.
Tetris, I don't know. Oh.
Was it
I'm not singing it. Don't ask me to sing it.
John just had a moment there where he thought he was going to have to sing on the pod.
See, this is where we need Dan, because Dan doesn't give a fuck. What's embarrassing himself? Dan will just do it. Dan's got no shame.
I know what I'll do. Yo, and back and he plays centre back and he plays centre back for Liverpool. La 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 la.
I don't remember that at all.
What about Ozan
Kabak?
That, John? Who's Johan Kabak?
What did I say? Johan?
Who's Johan Kabak?
Johan Kabak.
Dutch half brother.
He played for Newcastle.
Yeah. Remember, was it what's his name? Joe Kinnear called him Kebab.
Kebab. Charles Insomnia for Charles and Dogbeer.
Fucking hell. I much preferred Newcastle back then in the Dennis Wise and Joe Kinnear days, and we just laugh at them.
Well, we can laugh at them today anyway.
Yeah, we certainly can.
You know, we keep being able to laugh at them, so that's a good thing. Anyway, so we get to you're thinking the worst, aren't you? At sort of 10 men, 1-0, the crowd are up, and you're just thinking we're just going to get an absolute pasting here, and we might well have done if not Paul for that like miraculous save from Alisson from the Almiron volley. Like that ball's hit with such force, and it's almost behind him when he claws it out. It's just absolutely stunning save.
I mean, I said in the group chat, Chris, is it the best save we've seen this century? And I only said that really because I can't really think of anything beforehand, but I'm assuming there maybe was back in Clem's days or whatever, or you know that era.
That was last
century.
And
then John came back with Jerty, but I think the one at Jerty, amazing save that it was straight at him. I honestly, I think it was one of the best saves I've ever seen. It was absolutely incredible. It's the strength in his arms and his wrists. You know, there was so much power, as you said, in the ball. It's almost like it needed both hands to keep it out, didn't it? I think he took the sting out of it with one hand and then knocked it away with the other. Is that right? I've not seen it back since. I've only got like this memory of seeing it the one time. It was, but either way, it was just he just had no right to save it, and it absolutely kept us in the game. He's just incredible. He's the best goalkeeper I've ever seen for us by a mile. He's just sensational. By a mile, the best keeper we've had.
Best I've seen for anyone, not just for us.
Yeah. He's getting. I mean, I suppose different areas it's hard to compare. You know, Michael and Neville Southall.
Neville Southall was great.
Yeah, I mean, those are, to me, those are the two benchmarks. But he's absolutely in the conversation. It's a different era of goalkeeper now, isn't it, to both of those? Even though Schmeichel wasn't that long ago. But certainly, I've never seen anyone better for us, and he's in the conversation with anyone I've ever seen. He's incredible, absolutely incredible. Just everything about him is just, it's a bit mind-blowing, really, how good he is. I thought at that stage, I think I said it in the chat, we are so lucky to have him. Because I tell you what, could have been a rout. If that had gone in, we were in all kinds of trouble. We could be talking like a serious humiliation where your season's gone off the rails, like in the third game. It was that bad, the position that we were in. So it was an incredible save, so important. It's one of them where you come after the result, you come out of that game with that result. Darwin's two incredible goals, you know, the amazing finish. It'd be very easy to forget how important Alisson's save was. You know, without that save, that was an entirely different game.
Yeah.
So, Dave, you mentioned that you think he's the best goalie you've ever seen for anybody, but what about your mate? Pete Shilton? Is he in the conversation?
Shilts, yeah. I'll concrete boot Shilts.
Diego's mate.
What a twat! What an absolute.
Still one of my proudest moments having him block me on Twitter, Peter Shilton.
It's staggering that I never got blocked by him.
Yeah. Do you want me to tell you how he blocked me? What I said. You know that gif of Maradona where he's like giving the V's down like in a World Cup a few years ago?
Yeah.
And I put hey Shilts, Diego sends his love from heaven to you. And I'm like looking down, giving him the V's.
and he blocked you for that?
He blocked me, the precious twat.
I've called him way worse than that and got away with it.
Yeah, he actually blocked me for that, yeah. Prick. And Cayley had a whopper.
Yeah.
Right, so we do make it into half time, and at that point
I want to talk about Klopp not subbing Trent because
go on then.
That was like the second Trent got away with like the referee basically shit himself because he knew he probably shouldn't have booked him the first time, and it takes like it's really controversial to have given him a second yellow and sent him off, even though it probably was a yellow card. Normally you'd get a yellow for that. But as soon as that happened, to me, you've got to take him off. And the reason, regardless of how it went afterwards, where his head had gone and he was passing it straight to their players, he gave a goal away. Even before all that happened, I'd be subbing him anyway, because he's playing, okay, it's this hybrid role, but he's still having to play right back against Anthony Gordon, who's like the biggest diver in the league, apart from Richarlison. So he's got to get through 86 minutes where if he commits one more foul, because it wouldn't even have to be a bad foul, as soon as he commits another foul, he's gone. So you're looking at that and going, okay, 86 minutes against like Anthony Gordon, who's going to be running at him and diving at every opportunity. How are you going to get through that game like without a yellow card? Now, okay, he did get through without that, but also he could not make a tackle. So you can get through the game by just not making any tackles, but is that really what you want? You want to have like a situation where like you can't make a tackle? And let's not forget, on the goal, Trent grabs him by the shirt and tries to pull him back. Now, if Gordon goes down there, Trent's off. Now, they don't score, so there's that. But Trent would have been off then, because even after he'd had that warning, he still grabbed hold of his shirt and tried to pull him back. So you've got like the mistake for the goal, just the erratic passing because his head's clearly gone, and Klopp did not sub him, and I was going absolutely berserk about it. So was Paul. Stu was saying, no, you've got to keep him on because he's your vice captain, so you've got to like make a statement here and say, you're the vice captain, this is up to you to, you know, deal with this situation. And I get that, you know, I understand like the reasoning behind that, but I just don't like the idea that you're keeping a player on in a position, like a vulnerable position, where he's going to get exposed because he's having to defend against like a quick winger. and he can't make a tackle. He's got no room for error. And a couple of times in the second half, at the start of the second half, Gordon just like waltzed past him. There was also, I think it might have been Joe Linton went out on that side, and he just went past him. And it's because Trent can't do anything. He cannot make any challenge. So I would have took him off, and I was absolutely fuming that he didn't take him off. Then the goal goes in. So that's down to Trent as well. So I'm pissed off there because like he shouldn't even be on the pitch because he should have been subbed. He stayed on the pitch. He's give a goal away. So I'm pissed off about that. Then Van Dijk gets sent off. And I'm like, okay, now you've got to take off Trent. And he takes off Diaz. And I'm like, Diaz is like, he's not somebody who you see as like, oh, well, we're down to 10 men, he might be a bit of a passenger. Diaz fucking works his arse off.
Yeah.
So it's
and
not
he's an outlet for you as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Definitely an
He'll
outlet
carry
ball,
the fight
yeah.
to them. He'll get the ball and he'll run at people. He's quick. He'll take people on. He's the outlet that you want. If you haven't got Darwin on the pitch, that's the outlet ball. So we took him off. Why are you leaving Gakpo on? What's Gakpo going to do in that situation? You know, I didn't see like that. That totally blew my mind that we took Diaz off. But what you could have done was you could have dropped Gakpo into midfield, move McAllister back, put Endo into the back four, either at right back or centre back, and put Joe Gomez on. And that, to me, was like just the obvious thing to do. Now, Klopp didn't do that, and it's turned out for the best in the end. We've won the game. I thought Trent, in the second half, you know, he cleared his head. He did exactly what we needed him to do. I don't hold it against him that people were running past him, because what's he supposed to do? He can't dive in, try to make a challenge. He can't, like, you know, get close, use his body, because as soon as somebody hits the deck, he's off. So he's basically not able to do any defending at all, other than just be out there. He can't get tight to anyone. So to me, we've got away with that. The right decision would have been to have just got Trent off straight away as soon as that happened, and I couldn't believe that we left him out there, vice captain or not. You know, to me that was staggering. I couldn't believe that Klopp did that.
Do you not think as well, Dave? I agree with every word of what you just said there. Leave the result to one side. Are we still not left with questions about the system and how we defend?
Absolutely.
You know, I just really feel, and I, you know, and I say again, I think I said it on the last pod, or which at the last time I was on, Klopp has repeatedly done things which are counterintuitive, where we all had to suspend our disbelief. I think I can't remember this fan base suspending their disbelief collectively more than everyone is doing for this system at the moment. And I don't rule out that it'll come good, you know, and I think you'd be a fool to bet against Klopp, because he's done it so many times. But I have to say, we need to see multiple improvements from lots of different players for this to be much, much tighter than it is. You know, I think the other thing that was worrying me, you know, when you talk about all the pressure that was on Trent and the way he was defending, he couldn't make tackles. I don't think he can escape the narrative that's in his head, which has been in the media for the last 18 months. Trent can't defend. Trent doesn't get picked at right back for England. Trent is a liability for Liverpool. All of that was playing in his head. There's no doubt in my mind. And he might have been angry about it. He might have been thinking, fuck all of you. That's not me. I'm better than that. But the bottom line is that the narrative was in his mind rather than focusing on his game. I think all of that is there. It's all in the mix. Because as a human being, I don't know how you avoid all that. Yeah. The one thing I would say about Trent, I said it earlier on, is he's always had this capacity after he's made a mistake or he's been under pressure to come back, rise above it, and in fact impose himself the other way. And I think second half he was sensational. Really, I thought he really put the first half behind him. But I'm with you, Dave, all the way. Result notwithstanding, it's still mad to me that he was left on the pitch. Yeah. At that moment in time, I thought we were staring down the barrel of an absolute humiliation. And if it wasn't for Alisson, it would have been.
John, I thought it was interesting that after the game, Jurgen said that they got in at half-time and there was a sense among the staff and among the players that there was something there for them today. Like, the evidence perhaps wasn't there in the first half, but there's obviously something there that gave them some belief that they could still get something from the game. It certainly wasn't an attitude of, let's just try and keep the score down. I think over the past few months, certainly in last season, we've questioned on the pod a few times just whether Jurgen has the ability to make those half-time adjustments that see us transform our performances that was so synonymous when we, early in this era where we had rough patches and rough halves, and we'd come out in the second half and we'd tweak and we'd fix what was going wrong, and then it would look great thereafter. It wasn't exactly the case today, but it was just really interesting to me that they thought that there was something in the game for them today, given what had transpired in that first 45 minutes.
Well, yeah, I mean, the fact that it was only 1-0, as Paul touched on, the save from Alisson, because that goes in 2-0. You're disheartened going, I don't know how long before half-time that save was, off the top of my head, I can't think, but and it was definitely 1-0 at the time, possibly 2-0, so you get in at half-time, it's 1-0. And as Dave said earlier, it was just about staying in the game, just keeping it at 1-0, which we did do. And if that was the case with 15 minutes ago, that's when you throw Darwin in, and it worked. But as I said, the composure from Harvey when he came on, it was just little things like that created the bigger picture, which ultimately led to the win. But yeah, I think Newcastle had a bit of bluster about them. A couple of runs down that side from Gordon again, and he hit the post and that when it was 1-0. Was it 1-0 when Almiron hit the post as well?
Yeah.
I think so.
So little things like that go your way, and you're hanging in there 1-0, and then you start getting on the ball a bit, which we did do. And the tempo seemed to go out in Newcastle. I don't know whether that was like design or whatever it was. They didn't kill us off. And 1-0 is a dangerous scoreline, as they say. As
They
it
probably
takes
got tired after all the fouls they committed, John.
Well, yeah, that's it. It's like all the high octane style of football that they've got up there nowadays. It's like everything's like a big occasion up there, and it's like I don't know if us going down to 10 men suited them in a way. It's like because the pressure was on them then to kill us off, which they didn't do. There was no pressure on us, basically. If we'd have got out of there today with a 1-0 defeat, obviously you're gutted and that, but it's like, well, all right, in the grand scheme of things, considering what happened in the first half and how shambolic it was, if you like, the second half was a lot more controlled in a lot of aspects.
John, did
so
you
look
see
at it
what
from that.
Beheady House said afterwards?
No.
He said the sending off hurt them. It didn't help them at all, us going down to 10. And in the next breath, he was complaining that Trent wasn't sent off.
Do you know what, boys? Just on this point about them and how they handled it, I think both clubs are quite emotional clubs in the sense of how the fan bases are. But I think I'm not even quite sure where I'm going with this. But I think there's a sense that we can be emotional, but our heads are in the game at the same time. And I think they're a club whereby when they're emotional, they just lose it completely. And I think they get overexcited easily. And they don't recognise the moments in games that I think we do as a club. And I think they're on a little bit of a roller coaster. They're not quite riding it. They're not quite riding the roller coaster with as much control as they think they've got. And I think moments like that, games like that, can clearly it was too much for them today. Certainly think when it went to 1-1, at that stage then, I think they were emotionally, the players, the management, but particularly the fans were all over the place. Well, I just think we've been down the road so many times in big games with big emotional moments that we're more realistic about what may happen, what may not happen. And I don't know if that's making sense, lads, but I get the sense with them that they're kind of like, they go over the top at the drop of a hat.
You're saying they're thick as fuck, basically. And
I think I am really,
agree.
Dave. Yeah, I think I am really.
Yeah,
I think
right.
that is what I'm saying. Yeah, I just think they lose it. They lose it at the drop of a hat, and sometimes that doesn't help them. It doesn't help the players. I think when we're emotional as a crowd, it helps our players. And I don't think it necessarily helps theirs. I think they can get too excited too soon. If that makes sense.
They
you
can
look
get
at the
super
game
antsy as well. Sorry, John, go ahead.
So last season, at St James's, when Pope got sent off after was it like 15 minutes or something, and we were 2-0 up.
Yeah.
So it was like a flip side of that, really, because there was no pressure on them after that. We're 2-0 up, we've got 11 men, they've got 10, but they fucking battered us then for the next 70 minutes. I remember we couldn't get out, and it was a bit different today, whereas the pressure was on them because they had the man advantage, and as you've touched on, Paul, he didn't know how to deal with it, the emotional, the early in the journey, if you like, in that respect. you know, the way they are at the moment. But last year, you know, the pressure was on us. You know, we were the ones with 11 men. They had 10. You know, I don't think we created a chance after we went 2-0 up last season, if I remember rightly. So not in concrete, but you know, it was a bit.
Away with the points.
Yeah, that was it. You know, but we had the man advantage. But today, they did, and they didn't know how to handle it. You know, and obviously they didn't see it out like we did last year. So it's like a flip side of it, if you know what I mean.
When it got to 1-1, I'm not saying I knew we were going to win, but I thought we're more likely to win this now, 10 men or not. It got to 1-1, I thought that their race is run, and the question now is, can we get the second goal? And then obviously we did, but yeah, after like we got the equaliser, they were never going to score.
And I'll tell you what, like Mo's
Go ahead,
pass
mate.
for Darwin's goal as well.
Oh,
Sensational pass.
Like he gets a lot of stick off Monty and that, but just those cold, calculating moments kind of thing when he'll just pick the right way to pass.
The weight of it, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely stunning pass it was.
And the side he played it as well. He played it inside so Darwin could run onto it and didn't even have to break stride. It was just perfect for him. It was an exquisite pass.
Do you not think Newcastle? I think they had that warning with the one that Darwin couldn't control, then the one that went through that he scored, and then the second one they scored. And it seemed like each time they were a little higher and they gave him a little bit more room and space. It's like, I think you're dealing with, as Paul says, like a team that's quite early in its cycle and its journey, and they've not got that tactical astuteness that perhaps they require at this stage, because we basically just did the same thing to them 3 times and scored twice from it in almost identical situations, and they did nothing to alter what they were doing.
They probably weren't planning for that because Darwin didn't start the game. Like, they'd coped pretty well up until that point.
Yeah.
But yeah, suddenly it's a totally different dynamic, like the ball in behind, which we didn't really have up to that point.
The other thing, though, as well is, you know, to quote, loath as I am to quote Dave, but eye of the tiger, and Darwin had it today, didn't he? You know what I mean? I think sometimes, no matter what you want to do, a player has just got it, hasn't he? And he had it today. He really, really, really had it today. Those finishes were as good as anything you'll see this season.
The joy on his face as well.
The movement, though, you know, the movement, the reading of the line, the timing of the run, the awareness of where the passes come in, all of it, like the whole package was there in those 2 goals. And I think sometimes doesn't really matter who you're facing. If a player is playing in that way at that level where it's all coming together for them, you just can't do anything about it. Eye of the tiger.
Yeah. Did you think that Darwin looked a little bit surprised when the first one hit the net? He did like a little, oh, that one actually went in. Like it kind of seemed to startle him before he went into. I just watch it again. I think there's a slight moment where he's like, oh fuck, and then he goes off on his celebration. But take nothing away from him at all. They're both incredible finishes, and the scenes on the bench afterwards were just absolutely magic. Like Besetic and Kostas and Bento going absolutely nuts. And
I don't know as well on the far touchline as well. Just that, like when he like shouted up to the crowd and the gods.
That was brilliant.
Yeah,
that was brilliant.
Yeah, but that was obviously just a release of like emotion because of what he'd suffered through the game, and I love all that. Absolutely amazing, great to see.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. And even to see Jurgen in the interview after the game, Dave, you sent it to me before we came on air. It's just killing a little time, and as you said, he's much more relaxed when he speaks to the club side because obviously he's not expecting any curveballs or anything.
Yeah.
And nobody's pushing any agenda on him or whatever. He's much more relaxed, and just the grin on his face was just absolutely remarkable. It's good to see him happy because in the last couple of years it hasn't always been the case. He's looked kind of strained, and he's looked kind of that he's under the cosh a little bit.
The first half today.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, the first half today he was like, just really unsettled, as you would be with like the way the game had gone. But he looked frazzled. The whole thing was just getting out of control. But obviously it's half time, isn't it? That's when like we've calmed everything down, and he said like that he showed the lads a couple of videos of incidents in the game and what we can do to get at them, and basically the players come out and said the same thing. It was like they said at half time, you know, we just got to stay in the game, don't concede another one, and there's something in this for us. So they obviously went out feeling like quite confident second half, and you saw that with the way we played. It was, the shape was good, just the organisation. You know, I just felt like the second half that's exactly what we needed in the circumstances.
And they clearly wanted players to keep the ball, didn't they? Control the ball. That's why, you know, Endo goes off.
Yeah, we need to talk
Harvey
about
comes in there.
What
and I just think it was
that?
about. Yeah, agreed. But I think, I mean, leaving Endo to one side, he wanted, you know, it was completely counterintuitive. There was a moment, I think I put it in the group chat. Look at the players that we've got and what positions they're playing at the moment. I think we had Kwanzaa on. We had Harvey playing as a 6. There was all kinds of madness going on.
Bosley was a 6 as well. Like they had the two of them were playing like the holding midfield positions, weren't they?
Yeah, it made sense. But yeah, go on, Dave. Back to you about Endo.
Yeah, I think with Endo, it's look, I'm reading nothing into this whatsoever. It doesn't mean anything in terms of like anyone making any judgments of him now. It's like it's way too premature.
Yeah, it's
he could not have had like a trickier like situation
the
to come into.
The worst game to have at St James was at that. I agree, Dave. It's like, you know, the way they are, it's like fever pitch, everything, isn't it? It's like,
and going down to 10 again.
Going down to 10,
yeah.
But you know, just that like high energy style that they've got, you know, it's understandable. You know, it's not as though he's making his full debut home against, I don't know, Everton or someone like that. You know, he's had to get an Everton dig in there. But yeah, Newcastle is probably the worst game to make your debut.
City
you
away.
know, your full debut, I think, at St James's.
I'd say other than
even City
away.
I'm not too sure.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, I just think. But either way, yeah, I mean, it wasn't an ideal game.
No, it's tricky. Like, he's only been here 5 minutes.
Yeah, that's it, Paul. Blood and thunder. That's exactly what I'm looking for. Yeah.
And it is a difficult game at the best of times, and we go down to 10 men. He's had to like move around different positions again. You know, it's not like he's just in a settled spot in a team with 11 players. You know, we're having to change shape, bring people off, bring other players on, change things around. He didn't look great, didn't look comfortable, but again, I'm not making any kind of judgment on him at all. Like, he wasn't good today, but I feel like that's almost to be expected. It's like if he'd have been brilliant, that would have been that was a pleasant surprise. You know, I think what we've seen today, I'm not surprised by that. I feel like it's understandable, and things will get easier for him from now on. And I do think he'll be a good player for us, but you know, he's not going to be like a massive, like he's not going to have a Fabinho like impact when Fabinho came. You know, like the first few years, he's not going to do that. But we just need him to just do what we bought him for, you know, just be like steady, solid, do the job. And I think he will, but maybe it's going to take him a little bit of time to get up to speed. But just a quick point on, you know, the system and that, like, and we're not convinced by it, and we've all got doubts and that. I just think we're in for a bumpy ride for the next few months, and hopefully at the end of that bumpy ride, we're like, okay, this works, we're fine with it. But it's not going to just click straight away. There's going to be games where we look awful. There's going to be games where, like last week, for example, where we're not great, but we've done enough to win, and you think, okay, that's all right. And then hopefully we'll have games where it clicks and it looks brilliant. But I do think it's going to be like very much up and down for like the next 2-3 months.
Do you know what, mate? I totally agree with that, and I can buy into that. Briefly repeating my point from earlier, what frustrates me is that we haven't done all the business that we need for the
totally
system.
Agree.
So I'd be much more comfortable with the bumps in the road if we had another left-sided sort of hybrid centre-back full-back, another midfielder who was multifunctional. We had somebody who could potentially come in and play right back. And we'll see what happens. But that's my real issue with the system. I can live with the bumps in the road because I think we've got enough to anyway with the fight back to where we were in 2020 with the centre halves or the way we were last midfielders. And I'm sick of all that. It's old news. You know, we've got the money. Let's just do the business that we need to do. Why are we going into the end of the window? We've gaps in the squad. It's not right.
No, it's not.
I do hope that we'll be back with another pod in midweek, because we've signed somebody and we need to talk about it.
Well, we're going to do it anyway. We'll do a window recap regardless, but hopefully it'll be hopefully it'll be a positive one.
That window recap's going to be a fucking misery fest if we don't sign anybody. I don't think we should. But anyway, I feel like, you mentioned the bumps in the road there, but I feel like these first 3 games, we're in pretty good nick in terms of the amount of points that we've got on the board. So I think we just need to keep trying to get as many points on the board as we can, because just like, it is going to be bumpy, but it's a lot more manageable when you are getting wins and you're getting good results against teams in tough games like today. Obviously today I think 11 against 11, we'd have all been quite surprised if we'd have been pleasantly surprised with coming out with a good win today. I think I think we expected them to cause us a lot of problems, and it was kind of one of them which could go either way, but down to 10 men and 1-0 down, winning from there is just incredible. Last week, I think that Chelsea point will be a good point for us, and we took care of business at home instead of against Bournemouth. So we're doing what we need to do so far, and we're sitting 3rd in the table after 3 games. We've got 7 points on the board. We're undefeated. Yeah,
longest unbeaten run in the league as well, isn't it? 13 games unbeaten, better than anyone.
Yeah, man. Gosh, I didn't even think of that.
It's a bit under the radar, that, isn't it? When you think about how wobbly we all feel about what we're seeing. Yeah, 13 games unbeaten, better than anyone in the league. It's best run in the league, that.
Nice. All right. Do you guys want to touch on a little bit about the Salah rumours this week, and whether there's a link between this game in particular and the rumours that he's going to go and play in Saudi Arabia? Dave, what do you reckon?
I wouldn't be surprised if it was just the Saudis just trying to unsettle us. Not specifically just because we're playing Newcastle, that obviously comes into it. I just think in general, and not even so much that they're trying to unsettle us, I just think they're trying to cause as much shit as they can. Just, create unrest, get themselves linked with this player. They did exactly the same thing with the golf. I mean, I'm not going to go into that in too much detail because nobody gives a shit. I know. But it was, what happened was they made the initial splash, they signed a load of over-the-hill players, and then for the next 9 months or whatever it was, every week, it'd be John Rahm's going there this week, Victor Hovland's going, and it's no, they're not. We knew that they weren't going, but they were still putting out the stories that these top players were signing for them, and then they'd sign some fucking nobody, and he was 100 in the world or whatever, but they kept putting out these stories that all these top stars were joining when they didn't. They weren't going there, and that's just part of the whole strategy, because people are talking about it. That's what they're wanting. It's getting them, it's keeping them in the news. People are talking about it always. I mean, they actually, one of their TV stations, I don't know if it's a reputable TV station or what, no idea. They actually said this is his last game. He's flying out for a medical straight after the game to Dubai, and he's joining Al, whoever it is, next week. I'm that's clearly bollocks, because if that was happening, we wouldn't have picked him. We would not have picked him today if he was leaving this week, because you don't do that. If you've agreed that he's going for 130 million, whatever the fee was that they're talking about, why would we? If Mo wanted to go and we'd be okay, he wants to go, fuck him, let's take the money and he's going. Why would we pick him today? We just would not have done it. So it's clearly that story that was on their TV network was bullshit. But that's what happens. They'll put out these rumours now. I think we all probably think at some point Mo's going to end up playing in Saudi Arabia. Nobody would be shocked by that. But I'd be staggered if it happened now. And also, we cannot, even if he comes to us now and says, actually, you know what, I do fancy this, I want to go, be tough shit, you signed a contract, you wait until next year. We cannot sell him with 4 days left in a window, because we can't fucking buy players. We've had all summer and we've not been able to buy the players we wanted to get. We're suddenly going to be able to get deals done in 4 days to replace our top goal scorer and club legend. It's a total non-starter.
Mbappe.
Oh, you should be saying that to Paul, not me.
No.
Even Paul's given up on that.
No. Jules made me see the light a while ago. He's a prick. You know what I mean? He's an ego.
But he'd be our prick.
Mbappe or Jules?
Yeah. Mbappe would be to Liverpool what Jules is to the pod.
I think fuck all that shit from Jurgen about if a player doesn't want to be with us off, they can go. No, Mo is staying with us for the rest of the season, and I think that would be a massive failure if we just. I don't think it's going to happen. By the way, I think Mo's committed to this, at least to this season, if not the rest of his contract.
Yeah.
I could see him going next summer. I don't think Mo's. I think it's all bullshit. I don't think Mo's going to go at all. I think Mo's quite happy.
Well, his agent came out, didn't it? Mo's agent said,
Yeah.
for all of the shit that we gave Mo's agent when he was haggling over the contract last year, to be fair, Mo's agent came out and said, we're not doing this. We signed a contract with Liverpool. If we were planning to do this, we wouldn't have signed
a
a fucking
contract. To be fair,
contract.
though, Chris, the flip side to that is he might not have heard the £1.5 million a week offer at that stage. You know what I mean?
Right.
Since then, they've tripled the offer.
Yeah, so you don't really know what the background is because anything is possible with
Yeah,
these
but
pricks.
Lovren said it's
Yeah,
bollocks.
you're right.
Oh, so we're sound then. But I just think it's, for me, the main thing is, and I'm not averse to the idea. In fact, I'm not only am I not averse, I'm all in on the whole. Let's stop this bullshit of letting players wind down the contracts. I was seduced briefly, in fact not even briefly, for a long time, by this idea about this is the way Klopp galvanises a squad. He makes a commitment to players, and that's part of the deal for how he makes it work in terms of his squad cohesion. Fuck that. We need to stop all that shit going on. If you go into the last year of your deal, you move on. And Klopp is an outstanding communicator and leader, and he needs to grow a pair and say to these players, and you don't need to be a prick about it the way you say it to him. You can just say, look, I'm sorry, that's the end of the line. We've loved having you with us. We need you to find another club. And ultimately, we need a sporting director with the plums to say it anyway. Make it a club decision. Make it a club policy. You know what I mean? If Klopp doesn't want to have that conversation, put it beyond him. But we need to stop all this crap of that we see players through to the end of their contract. It's a load of shit. But let's say I'm totally open to the idea that next summer we might want to listen to Mo's 33. We might want to listen to, or 32, whatever he'll be. We want to listen to an offer like that. In fact, not just listen. We want to be taking it very, very seriously and saying yes, please, and taking that money to
spend the
to
next
reinvest.
12 months finding the replacement.
About. Yeah,
and you know
that's
what?
true.
Here's the other
That's
thing
true.
as well. If that is the plan, if like they're thinking about that, what they need to be doing is signing the replacements in January, not waiting until we've got the Mo cash. Because as soon as you do that deal, it wouldn't matter. We could get like £1 billion for Mo, and we wouldn't be any better off, because all that would happen is, like, as soon as we go for a player, the price would be like tripled, and we'd end up, we either have to pay way, way, way over the odds for the player, or we walk away and say, no, we don't like that valuation.
Yeah.
And neither situation is good for us. But if you are thinking he's going next year, and if you've spoke to Mo about it and he said, look, maybe next year I might actually be up for doing that, you go, okay, that's fine, let's just keep a lid on it. Doesn't need to be made like public or anything. We're going to find your replacements, and we're going to bring him in before you leave, so we don't get ripped off on the fee. That's how you've
But
got
we
to
have
do it.
done that the last couple of years. We brought Diaz in
Sadio,
when we knew
yeah, brought
Sadio was
Diaz in,
going, and then we
brought
brought Gakpo in when we knew when we weren't going to renew Bobby. So that might be something to actually look out for. Is if we do sign somebody in January, that might mean that Mo is going. So it's just want to keep an eye on there.
Do you know the other factor there, Chris, as well, just building on what Dave said? I'm absolutely convinced these Saudis are not going away, and they're not just going to be content with signing 30-something players. They've started to dip their toes into the sort of the 26 to 30 bracket. They've got Mitrovic, they've got what's-his-face, Ruben Neves, and players like that. It won't be long, either January or next summer, they'll be going for exactly the same players that we want. We need to be getting our business done now and in January, because they'll be coming after the same players, but they'll be offering them 10 times the money.
Yeah, worrying times. Just coming back to today's game, is there anything else, perhaps John, that you want to add about today's game?
Yeah, I mean, hopefully it's a kick-starter now for the rest of the season. It's a bit of a toughie on Saturday or Sundays at Villa next weekend.
Sunday.
So, hopefully the morale boost we'll get from that today will, stand us in good stead, because, that's not going to be an easy game against Villa. They're playing quite well at the moment. So, that's all you can take from the game. In that respect, Darwin's got to start, obviously.
Got to.
And Gomez centre back. I think the rest of the team probably picks itself, doesn't it, at the moment? So, that's it. Just hopefully take the 3 points against Villa at the weekend, and that is a really solid start to the season, with all the problems that we've had going into the international break after that.
Yeah, that certainly would be nice. Dave, are you ready for the onslaught of time wasting? Have you recovered enough from last time that you can face it again, do you think?
Well, I've got my fingers crossed because that twat goalkeeper's injured. He didn't play this weekend. So I'm hoping he's not back for next week. Because if he's not playing, even if the other goalkeeper time waste, it's not going to wind me up as much as when he does it. Because he just rubs me up the wrong way. He's horrible. He's absolutely fucking horrible, that Martinez. So hopefully he doesn't play next week. And the key to it is to get in front. You get in front, then they're not going to time waste, are they? You know, 'cause they're a good side. They're dangerous on the break. It'll be a tough game. But the last thing that we can afford to do is concede first. You know, imagine like you're playing Villa and we have the start that we had against Bournemouth. That would just be like nightmare scenario. So yeah, we need a fast start. We need to get in front so they can't time waste, can't do the shithousing, and hopefully get the win. Because if we get to the international break with 10 points from 12, looking at the fixtures that we've had and the turnover of players and all the uncertainty over like different stuff, that would be like, you know, that would be sensational. It wouldn't make up for not signing any players, but it would kind of make us feel a little bit better about the situation, because there is a massive dark cloud over us because of transfers, no doubt about it. There's a big question mark there.
And this system, Dave, as well. This system.
Yeah, but the system, I agree with that, but at least with the system, you think, well, in a few weeks' time, that might look completely different. You know, it might click. Everyone might
I meant with the transfers at the same time. I just feel there's gaps in the squad with the system that we haven't really addressed.
Yeah, there is. There absolutely is. But, you know, if the players we've got stay fit, then we might get away with it.
That's
the
a
problem.
massive if
I know
us.
it is. It's not a risk that we should be taking. But I'm just looking at best case scenario. If we don't sign players, to me, it's like it's unforgivable. It's negligence, and you know it's just completely not acceptable in any way. But if that happens, then there's nothing we can do about it. All we can do is just hope that like we manage to just keep players fit and injuries don't derail us. And if injuries do derail us, well then we know where the blame lies. It's because we've not brought in the players that we needed to do. The squad is like so short-handed. It really is. You know, we lost 6 players and we brought in 2. So it's not acceptable. But you know, we'll see what happens the next few days. We're going to do a pod on it. There's no point like delving into it too deeply now. We'll just see what happens in the next 4 days, I suppose.
Yeah, it was good to see Bajcetic back on the bench again today as well. So, like, presumably he comes into contention for some time against Villa in that 6 perhaps. And
Thiago will be back for that as well. Klopp said like full training for Thiago on Monday. Curtis back, full training Monday. Not sure about Konate, but yeah, you'd imagine Curtis and Thiago will both be available for that one.
Good stuff.
I mean, in
I
terms
put
of the
Thiago
lineup
straight back in, by the way, if he's fit.
I mean, line up for next week, as far as I'm concerned, if we've got Alisson in goal and we've got Darwin up front, just pick another 9, because we'll be sound based on what we've seen today.
Nice. I love that. Yeah, definitely. That's our 2 match winners right there anyway.
Yeah.
And everybody else was varying shades of not that good. So, yeah, definitely. Just before we go, on a hunch, Dave, are we going to sign anybody, do you think? And if so, where do you think it might be?
I don't know. Somebody on the forum posted like that one of the mates is a photographer. He does work for the club, and he's been like told 3 o'clock on Tuesday there's a job, you know, like a photo shoot or something.
Oh, yeah.
So maybe it's Mo's farewell video.
Oh, fuck off.
Like the old Hendo style like video. Or, you know, it could be anything. It could be like a new training kit launch or whatever. Or maybe there's like a signing penciled in, who knows. But my hunch would be could be my hunch for that would be probably not, no. But if we did, it should be a defender. But I feel like if we do sign someone, it's going to be like Gravenberch or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm okay with that, having another midfield utility man in there.
I don't want him because Brownie's all in on it. Like, Brownie's going on about how we should sign him, and it's made me not want to sign him. No,
right, priorities in the right place there.
No, it's seriously the reason why I'm totally underwhelmed by Gravenberch, and it's irrational. It doesn't make sense. But the reason is, when we first got linked with him, we were also like right in for Bellingham, and I was like, okay, so you get like the big money goes on Bellingham. like the player who's like, he's kind of like a guaranteed home run. You know, there's not really a risk there. He's going to be great. And then the fee they were talking was like 18 million or something at the time for Gravenberch. I'm like, I'd be all in on that. A project, he may or may not work out. There's raw potential. Bring him in, as long as you're getting like the Bellingham player, like that type of player as well. Then bring him in as a project. But like now, I'm like, I don't really want that. You know, I've just got totally gone against them because we didn't get Bellingham, so I don't want Gravenberch either now.
Yeah, all right. Fair enough.
As I say, it's irrational, but I'm just underwhelmed by it. And then Brownie constantly going on about how boss he is after seeing like 20 minutes of an under-21 game over the summer. That's like, it just put me right off as well.
And the YouTube.
Oh yeah, the YouTube as well. Yeah, let's not forget that.
All right. All right, good stuff. Well, hopefully we do sign someone. Dave seems to think that we're going to be back with a pod regardless, a window pod, which could be just not a very happy one. But regardless, we'll be back during the week and on after the game on Sunday as well.
When's
so,
the window? What day? It's Friday, isn't it?
It's the first, isn't it?
Is it the 1st or is it the 31st?
Yeah, it's the 1st. It's 11 o'clock on the 1st, so I think that's Friday. That kind of fucks us up a little bit because we'd be having to put that out on the Saturday and then like the match pod on the Sunday. So I don't know. We'll have to figure that out, but it's not going to be midweek because the window doesn't shut till Friday.
Gotcha. All right, fair enough. Anything else you guys want to add before we call it a night?
No. I think that's it.
Good stuff. All right, good work. Well, it's a bit of an up and down pod for us, really, this one, because it's a stunning, unlikely, joyous win, but there's a lot of stuff to unpack there as well. So I hope we've done a decent job of
I've got something
making
I want to say.
it.
I've got something I want to say.
Go on.
I was right. I told you so. I was right. My boy Darwin, he's a peacock. You've got to let him fly.
Yeah, so you've had the chippy on Sunday. You just keep reiterating that, okay?
Well, I'm just going to be
flap your wings when you see him, Dave. When you see Jill, start flapping your arms.
I'm going to be strutting around outside the chippy like Ric Flair.
When you're tucking into your chips and gravy on Sunday before the match, yeah, you just make sure those chips taste extra better than they ever do.
Just let everyone know.
All right, nice one, boys.
Oh yeah, there's something else I want to say as well. Someone messaged me on Twitter before, and they just said like, "Bet you wish you'd have kept that 6-foot fish tank now, don't you?"
Nice. One for the regulars there. Yeah, we'll be back either before or just after Aston Villa, but until then, we'll catch you soon.
Well, the best word I can say, but will describe this was boom. Ooh, what was this? It was really good.